Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Dr. Doujinshi, and welcome back to another episode of Hentai Reviews, the only series where we truly have the same repeated joke every single time we upload. You want to know why? Because I feel like it. Now, you're probably noticing that I'm not here. I am. I'm always here. I've come under the understanding that I've lost my mask. A minor inconvenience, so to say, but a bit of one nonetheless. That being said, I'm going to do something that I did not think I would do, at least when I started this. Hi. You're probably thinking to yourself, God damn, is he hot? Actually, I'm not. It's pretty cool out here. So you see, today we're going to be reviewing a series that I've recently started, or at least one episode of the series, that's not necessarily very long, but it's also a very decent series overall. And it is one that I did not do any prep work on when it comes to the actual name itself, because it's very long, Japanese, and it did not have an English translation last time I checked. And as you can clearly see now, I am incredibly white, so my apologies to anybody out here who actually watches this and would like a proper translation, which I will try and attempt right now. Script-chan is always here. The series we're going to be reviewing today is known as JK Genkai Koubi Goui Go Sounyuu de Bachibachi Niki Anaka 1. Now, if you're wondering what that means, great question. I don't have the information for you. So, you see, we're going to be reviewing this series mostly because it's a very good start into what I'd like to call the masochist arc of what I'm doing. Otherwise known as, I'm going to beat the hell out of myself until I actually make videos, because oh my god, I can't start out every single video with, hi guys, bad upload schedule. It's getting old. That being said, this little series itself is done by Koubi. Now, the more seasoned veterans of you are probably wondering, not Queen Bee? Well, unfortunately, the Queen is on vacation and we don't really have anything to work with at the moment, so we're going to stick with the King. Doesn't mean he's better in some instances. We'll get into that later. Also, the series itself runs at about 14 minutes and 41 seconds long. Pretty short comparatively to most of the other ones that we've done that run around 20 minutes to all the way up to 25 minutes, and the occasional ones that run more than 40 minutes. So this is on the easier end when anybody is willing to, come and go, as they say. That also being said, we should probably talk about what everybody's here for, the categories and the notable ones of that. You see, this one has the staples of pretty much anyone that is running at a smaller length and is hitting a very vanilla audience. That being 10 categories in total, with the notable of which being boob job, self-service, you know the drill. Late night on a Saturday afternoon and you couldn't convince your Tinder date to show up. And cream filling, the best type of thing that ever come out of Boston. The cream pies. That also being said, it's not necessarily a story-driven series, with the actual plot itself being the idea of the main characters, Rina and Shota. And you're probably thinking with the name like Shota, little fella. No, he's full grown. He's an adult. Don't worry about this. These two characters are kind of slackers in their own average, everyday, ordinary high school, doing what they'd exactly do, time for classes, and then they end up going to their respected clubs. Those clubs, on the other hand, are pretty vague just in general, so they kind of have to they're being investigated for the fact that they're not exactly, highbrow, or at least necessary. We can't all be the sports club, swimming, whatever the fuck you want to do, even some that are more focused around book reading in any way. So these guys are pretty much slacking off, going to their very vague life studies where they pretty much just do nothing and hang out. Read manga, take naps, as you would average, everyday, ordinary slacker kids. God, I wish we had that in my school. That being said, they don't really, like, want to change anything, so Rina, of the two, has a very compulsive idea and thinks to themselves, I know what can give us a little bit of purpose. Goes outside, writes a little kanji on the side of it that turns it into sexual life, or lifestyle wellness, to which case it is then a way of studying how a healthy sexual life can improve the average everyday life of the regular person in there. This leads to our plot, how so can we say, which immediately starts at 4 minutes and 30 seconds and goes all the way to 12 minutes and 35 seconds. The characters do as their title suggests, and then once they've essentially changed the purpose of their place in the school sphere of what their clubs can do, they then submit a form to have their official notification of what they are changed. The guy really is busy and doesn't give a shit, so they get approved without even reading what they do, and then the whole thing ends on a happy note. Continue to slack off while also getting to jack off. And then the episode ends. As far as I know, there wasn't a second episode. If there is, I can probably put it down somewhere on the pipeline of which time this episode comes out. Now, let's get into like what I thought of it. Personal thoughts? I'd like to think it was a decent episode. Not really anything special, not really anything noteworthy, but if you had 14 minutes to like spare, then watching the whole thing ain't that bad of an option. That also being said, let's get into the review section of it, how shall we? The animation. The animation, although I may have made a joke about it in the beginning about being done by Queen Bee, or about being done by King Bee, and then saying that they might be better in some aspects, well, I have an up and a down. The animation is a bit more quality than Queen Bee. Everybody knows those moving PNGs they try to pass off every time they get the rights to a really good doujin and then decide to move on to whatever the hell they feel like and then spend no money on the budget whatsoever. What can I say? Sometimes bad stuff happens to good doujin. But that doesn't mean they're much better. 5 out of 10. Nothing special, nothing over the top. Really kind of, your average pitfalls of ones. A little bit of looping cutscenes. The angles that last a little too long. Not necessarily anything like groundbreaking. Average, ordinary stuff. That also being said, let's move on to the story. Now, the story is your basic plot of pretty much every porno you've ever seen in your life. Just cut down into about a little under 15 minutes. Characters like to slack off during school. They decide to create a club that is very vague so they can get away with their time. Then, the boning happens. Exactly what you think. Saves their day, and they get to move on. Now, when it comes to what I'd consider a good story, not the best. It's kind of a funny one, honestly. Like, what school would get away with that? Now, I understand the age of consent in Japan is like 14, which is like mind-blowing for us over in the States, but could have been seniors in high school, 18. I'm just gonna go with that because senior drift is exactly what it feels like, and if there's one type of year you really want to skip through, it's senior year. You just want to get the fuck out. So naturally I'd call it just on a relatability idea, not the sex part. I didn't get laid in high school at all, as you can tell. That also being said, it's kind of funny of like, how are we gonna kill time? Sex. God, I wish. So the story, I'd give it another 5 out of 10. Exactly how you'd think it. Not necessarily anything special, but also has its charm to it for its B-plot level of like, we're gonna get shut down. Let's bone about it. Kind of your average stuff. That also being said, let's move on to what we're all really here for, the plot. The plot itself is not bad. But then again, it's like pizzas. Even the bad ones, still pretty good. Now, I myself am what the kids would call a very gay male, so I'd also like to say, it's okay. Decent camera angles, decent amount of time. It definitely spends the time on it. on it for being from, what was it, 4 minutes all the way to 12 and a half? That's 8 minutes of this 14-minute series dedicated solely to this, and I'm pretty sure 2 minutes of it is dedicated to the credits. On one hand, admirable in any case. On the other hand, up in the air. But there's pretty vanilla workings around it. This is very much a throw it to the masses, and the wide net it casts can be propped up by what it has. Now, the plot does get hot in certain moments, but it doesn't necessarily, like, stay that way. So I'm going to go ahead and give it my final rating. No, 6. 6. It is a 6 out of 10. Not necessarily because it has anything special, but it's a little bit more than mediocre. Just not really anything like above average. That also being said, with all three of these put together, it ranks out to the weirdest 5 I've ever drawn. Just flat out 5 out of 10. And it's average. If you got 14 minutes to kill, it wouldn't hurt you to like skip through the beginning of it just to get to the action. You can also skip through some of that to get to like the better scenes in it. But it's also something that if you wanted to, and you just wanted like that sort of like middle of the road, I'm going to watch this and get through the whole thing, especially as it's 14 minutes long, it definitely feels like it. And then 14 minutes, I think, pretty okay spent, especially if it's late at night and you also realize that nobody's picking up that phone. Probably going to be it for all of us. 6 out of 10 on I'm not reading that name. J.K. Simmons. That's what this is called. J.K. Simmons. The guy who voiced Omni-Man and once pictures of Spider-Man and beat the shit out of a dude because he couldn't play the drums well. Well, J.K. Genkai Koubi. And that's it. I'll have the name in the title. You'll figure it out from there. So, with that all being said, I'd like to thank everybody for your patience. I'd like to thank everybody for watching this, whether it be for the first 5 seconds, through the whole thing, through the return subscribers, through the fact that my skyrocketing subscriber count has just continued to grow, and I don't know why. I go months without posting anything, and yet people still subscribe. Are you guys masochists? Is that what you're waiting? Are you just sitting there next to the little puddle, just waiting for the water, or am I that cool? Because I guarantee it ain't one of those. That being said, I'd like to thank everybody for putting up with me. And I'd like to thank everybody for just being bros. Men, you're bros. Women, you're bros. Non-binary people, you're also bros. Bro is no description. And you're all hot. I hope you have a great day. That being said, let's do it with the clear audio this time. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I appreciate all of you, and I hope you have a great day. Now remember, have a nice day. Don't be a dick, there's too many of them. And wash your fucking hands. I've been the doctor. Peace.